NVIDIA just printed the biggest quarter in semiconductor history. $81.6 billion in revenue. A $4 billion beat on next quarter's guide. 75% gross margins. The first Vera Rubin samples already shipping. And the stock fell anyway. This is your AI and robotics briefing for Wednesday, May 20th, print day. Before the print, the cash market ripped. The Dow Jones Industrial Average jumped almost 600 points. The S&P 500 climbed over 1% to 7,433. The Nasdaq did better than that, up 1 2/3% to 29,298. The volatility index dropped over 3% to 17.4. The driver, oil, collapsed. President Trump signaled Iran talks are in their final stages and called off a planned military strike. West Texas crude fell almost 5% to $99 a barrel. Brent fell over 5% to $105. Treasury yields followed. The 10-year dropped almost 2% to 4.58. Bull steepening up front. Risk on across the curve. One thing worth flagging, even with both crudes falling, the gap between Brent and West Texas widened 64% in a single day to almost $12 a barrel. Physical oil markets outside the United States are still meaningfully tighter than American markets. The Hormuz disruption is only partly priced out. While everyone was watching NVIDIA, the largest humanoid robot deployment commitment in history, quietly got signed last week. A UK company called Humanoid, founded only in 2024 by Artem Sokolov, signed a binding agreement with Schaeffler, the German motion technology giant. The deal, thousands of wheeled humanoid robots into Schaeffler's global factories by 2032. First systems live in 2 German factories by the end of this year. Initial deployment runs December 2026 through June 2027. But here's the deeper hook. Schaeffler also signed on as Humanoid's preferred actuator supplier through 2031, covering more than half of Humanoid's joint actuator demand. Why this matters? This is the first multi-thousand unit binding humanoid commitment by a non-US, non-Chinese OEM. Apptronik, Boston Dynamics, and Figure AI now face customer pressure to publish their own forward commitments. And separately, Figure AI's Brett Adcock confirmed Figure 03 robots ran a 50-hour package sorting marathon without intervention earlier this month. The BotQ factory is now producing 1 Figure 03 per hour, over 350 robots shipped to date. The Anthropic enterprise distribution flywheel keeps stacking. Yesterday, KPMG announced a global strategic alliance with Anthropic. Claude is being integrated across KPMG's entire workforce, 276,000 employees worldwide, audit, tax, advisory, consulting. That's Big Four channel number 2, after PwC's 30,000 employee Claude certification rollout from earlier this month. In parallel, Bristol-Myers Squibb signed a strategic agreement with Anthropic. Claude is going across BMS's drug discovery, clinical development, regulatory submissions, and manufacturing operations. That's Anthropic's biggest pharma deployment to date. And Anthropic shipped a product update yesterday. Managed agents now support self-hosted sandboxes and model context protocol tunnels. Translation: enterprises can run Claude agents inside their own security boundaries, accessing internal services without exposing them to the public internet. That's the runtime feature that unlocks regulated industry deployments. The competitive race is no longer about which model is smartest. It's about distribution, and Anthropic just locked another 250,000 people into Claude in one announcement. NVIDIA reported earnings after the close. Every preprint variable came in at the bullish end of the range. Revenue $81.6 billion. That's a $2.4 billion beat against the consensus of $79.2, an 85% jump from a year ago. Earnings per share $1.87, about a 10-cent beat. Data center revenue alone $75.2 billion. That doubled from a year earlier. now 92% of all Nvidia revenue. Then the guide. Nvidia expects next quarter at $91 billion plus or minus 2%. Wall Street consensus was $86.84 billion. The whisper number was $90 billion. Nvidia guided above the whisper. That's a $4 billion raise. The cleanest AI factory build-out still accelerating data point of the entire cycle. Gross margins guided at 75%, at or above the high end. Pricing power on Blackwell is intact. $80 billion added to the buyback. Dividend raised to 25 cents. And buried inside the call, the first Vera Rubin samples shipped to customers this quarter. On track for production in the second half of fiscal 2027, with up to 10 times inference token cost reduction versus Blackwell. Jensen Huang on the call. Agentic AI has arrived, and the AI factory build-out is accelerating at extraordinary speed. The stock fell anyway. Why? Bank of America was at 320 before the print, Morgan Stanley at 285, TD Cowen at 275. Goldman modeled $80 billion in revenue and $1.86 earnings per share, both right where the actual print landed. The Wall Street preprint ramp ate the upside. This is a positioning fade. 2 operational stories. 1. Tesla got the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation rideshare permit today. That's the state-level transportation network company license. Valid through August 6th. It clears the rideshare gate. But the separate Texas Department of Motor Vehicles authorization for fully driverless operations is still pending. That's the gate Tesla needs cleared by next Thursday, May 28th, for unattended robotaxi operations in Austin, Dallas, and Houston. Expect that to be resolved before the deadline. 2. Samsung's 18-day strike begins tomorrow, May 21st. 45,000 unionized workers walking off. JP Morgan models a $14 to $20.8 billion operating profit hit. Up to $700 million per day in lost sales. Samsung is a central global supplier of high-bandwidth memory. That's the memory chip that goes inside every NVIDIA Blackwell and every AMD MI400. SK Hynix and Micron cannot backfill an 18-day Samsung outage. Wednesday's tape already saw AMD up 7.36% on this read. Micron is the cleanest direct beneficiary. 3 names off today's watch list. 1. Nvidia. The print fade is positioning, not fundamentals. The $91 billion Q2 guide is the asymmetric data point. 2. Micron Technology, direct Samsung strike beneficiary on high bandwidth memory pricing tightness heading into the second half 2026 AI server build cycle. 3. CoreWeave. Backlog now at $99.4 billion, the highest of any AI infrastructure pure play. The June Investor Day is the absorption gate where unit economic detail behind that backlog gets disclosed. Here's the question. Is the Nvidia print fade a buy or a sell? Drop your call in the comments. We'll pin the best one in tomorrow's video. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Market Briefs is publishing every weekday into the AI CapEx cycle. This content is for informational purposes only and is not financial advice. Always do your own research.